Hey, what is up, everybody? In today's Daily Bible Breakdown, we are in the book of Genesis, chapter 7 through 10, and God follows through on his promise to wipe out the earth. He floods the earth, and everything dies. Yet I wonder, is this a result of God's anger and disappointment, or could it be something else? Stick around to find out. Hey, what is up? Ladies and gentlemen, Bob Garvey with the Bible Strength Project here with another episode of our Daily Bible Breakdown. It's a little close, huh? Get my camera right. Where we are doing two things. One, we're lifting up biblical truth to help you get stronger, mentally, physically, most importantly, spiritually. Two, we're reading through the entire Bible in a year, and it is epic. Hey, we're in day 3. It's not too late to grab somebody. Grab somebody, say, hey, catch up on 2 days, and come along with us. Appreciate the healing prayers for COVID. COVID's like, man, it just keeps hitting me. Right when I think I've got it down, whoosh, knocks me out again. It's like playing against Adam Hawk on the rugby pitch. But I appreciate those prayers. Also, check this out. Christmas present from my son. It's a weird kind of rolling pin to bake pies. I'm not sure how it's supposed to work. Maybe these little lines make little edges, little frilly edges on the pies. I don't know. Kind of cool though. He said something about my abs. Anyways, hey, today's Daily Bible Breakdown is coming to you from, you can see, Basement of Blessings.
Basement of Blessings.
Still knocking out my 100 daily burpees. Yes, I am. Thank you very much. Today's were not as easy as I thought they were supposed to be. Expectations are what gets you killed, right? More than anything. All right, let's get our camera fixed. Today's Daily Bible Breakdown, like I said, we're in the book of Genesis, chapter 7 through 10. And let's do a real quick recap because there's so much going on. All right, let's see here. Chapter 7. God follows through on his promise to destroy the world. More on that in a minute. Chapter 8, the flood waters slowly reside, and Noah lands the ark on dry land on a mountain. It's pretty cool. Chapter 9, God makes covenant with all humans through Noah that he will never do that again. The sign of this covenant, rainbow. Pretty cool. At the end of chapter 9, Noah decides to celebrate saving the world by planting a vineyard and getting hammered. We'll talk about that a little bit in a minute too. I know some of you can relate. Chapter 10 is the lineage of the sons of Noah. All right, so 2 things I want to talk about. 1, when God decides to flood the earth and wipe out every living creature, is this an act of anger or could it be an act of grace? And you're thinking, how in the world could this be an act of grace? All right, here's my thinking. Is it possible that every creature that God kills, including the humans, go back to heaven? Is it possible that God brings them back home to him? What happens to them? The Bible's not very clear, so I'm looking at verse 23 of chapter 7. This is NIV. Every living thing on the face of the earth was wiped out. People and animals and the creatures that move along the ground and the birds were wiped out from the earth. But it doesn't say like where they went, that they went to hell or they ceased to be. Is it possible God brought them back home? And if that is possible, then God's act of wiping every living thing off the face of the earth becomes an act of grace and mercy. Now, here's why I would argue in that favor. It's a little bit unorthodox, I'll admit. But you're hearing it first today here, Daily Bible Breakdown. Here's why I would argue in that favor. Because that's the kind of thing that a God who would come down in human form to the earth and get himself nailed on the cross to save all of humanity for all of time, that's exactly the kind of thing that he would do. Are you with me? So God calling like the universal timeout, that's it. When he sees his children hurting each other and just sinning and doing all kinds of bad things, he says, time out, you're done, you're coming home to me. That is consistent with God's grace and his love and his mercy And so I think it's entirely a possibility. When you look at the flooding story from that perspective, it's another example of God's grace and mercy. All right, so food for thought. Secondly, Noah's actions after getting to dry land, specifically getting ham-haired on homemade wine, shows us exactly why we never want to lift up any one person in the Bible or in our lives as worthy of worship, because they will always let you down. Noah does one of the bravest things in all of human history, and then he screws it up, and he gets drunk, and then, right? With the shenanigans that goes on with his sons, he blames his son for finding him, and he curses him forever. Okay, the only person that we ever should be lifting up in worship is Jesus on the cross, right? Here's what happens, especially with non-believers. They point to Christians and they say, look, there's proof that I'm not going to believe. Why would I believe, right, when you guys are all such a mess? Why would I believe when Christians are full of anger and fear and worry, right? And you can't lift up churches because churches are just a group of broken Christians, right? So all of us have to continually say, don't look at us, look at the cross. Don't look at our lives, either if they're good or they're bad, look at the cross, because God has revealed himself perfectly for all time through Jesus on the cross. Amen. There you go. It's not too late to grab a friend. Join our daily Bible breakdown. And now for
Today's Power Verse.
Today's Power Verse is Genesis 7:21. Every living thing that moved on land perished. Birds, livestock, wild animals, all the creatures that swarm over the earth, and all mankind. Do me a favor, get out your daily Bible reading plan, tracker, or at least mentally, give yourself a check mark. Give yourself credit for doing the work today. It's not easy reading your Bible every single day, but we're getting it done. Bob Garvey with the Daily Bible Breakdown. See you tomorrow.